Okay, so we're continuing our football club history series. Now, in recent videos, I've started to look at German clubs, and I'm looking at Borussia Dortmund in this video. There is this myth that it's always Bayern Munich to win everything domestically and win all the trophies. And that is not true. That's not the case. Yes, they have been the most successful German club, but a fair few other German clubs have had success domestically and in Europe. The club I'm looking at is Borussia Dortmund. So they're founded in 1909. They play at the Westfalenstadion, capacity of 81,365 for domestic club games. International games, because of the standing area that doesn't meet FIFA and UEFA standards for internationals, the capacity is reduced. But 81,365 crazy German fans cheering possibly the most popular team in Germany on. They have the biggest fan base, much bigger than Bayern Munich. Now, domestic honours, they've won a lot. European honours, they've won a little bit. They've been to a lot of European finals. They have 22 major trophies in total. They've actually been runners-up in the Bundesliga more often than they've won it, but they have little dominant patches. So in the mid-50s, they won a couple of titles. In the mid-90s, they won a couple of titles. In the early 2010s, they won a couple of titles, with a few other titles interspersed in between. Runners-up, they've done this a lot. They were very, very competitive. From the mid-50s to the mid-60s, they were a very, very good side. From the early 90s to the mid-90s, very good side. And then in the 2010s, yes, Bayern Munich have dominated the Bundesliga in the last decade or so, but they've been pretty good as well. And in another season, if they win the league more often. So, 8 times they've won the Bundesliga or the old German Championship, and 10 times they've been runners-up, which is an insane stat that they've been runners-up more often than they've won, which I think is a bit frustrating for Dortmund fans. But their winning starts in the 55-56 season. So I haven't included their West German championships and their regional championships where they have some records, but we're looking at the top flight and the major trophies. So they've won the Bundesliga, as I say, 8 times. The 55-56 season is the first season they do it. They repeat that feat the following season in the 56-57 season. So back-to-back titles, very hard to do. They win it again in the 62-63 season. So between the mid-50s and the mid-60s, domestically and in Europe, they're winning trophies. However, this little period of dominance ends, and it's not until the 90s that they start winning domestically again. So they win the German Championship, or now the Bundesliga as it is now known, in the 94-95 season, and the 95-96 season. Again, back-to-back titles. And again, very good side. They will win again the 2001-2002 season, pretty much with the same core of players, with some additions and subtractions. So again, when they're at the top of German football, they will win back-to-back titles, and then there'll be a gap until their next league title. This trend hasn't continued with their last 2 titles. So 2010-2011 and the 2011-2012 seasons, they win their last 2 Bundesliga titles. They have not won a third. That is the interesting point. The historical trend is you win 2 back-to-back. A few seasons later, you win your third one. Next period of dominance, 2 back-to-back, then win your third one. This time, 2 back-to-back, haven't won that third one a few seasons later. So that is an interesting little trend there, like a Fibonacci mathematics sequence. The runners-up is very interesting. They've been runners-up 10 times. So, first time they were runners-up in the old German Championship, which has obviously become the Bundesliga, was in the 1948-49 season. Then they get their period of winning. The 60-61 season, they're runners-up again, so they're near the top of German football. 65-66 is when they're runners-up a third time. They do very well in Europe that season. Then there's that gap until the 90s, so the 91-92 season. Then there's the gap until the 2012-2013 season, 2013-2014, 2015-2016, 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2021-2022. So they've been runners-up a hell of a lot recently, and that is with Bayern Munich's dominance. But Borussia Dortmund are a very well-run club. They do very well with their youth policy, and they have some very exciting young players. So you can see why they're runners-up a lot. And we'll look at Bayern Munich and their history in another video to say, look, they are the most dominant German side. We know this, but they're not as dominant as people think. Now, the German Cup, or the DFB-Pokal as it is known in Germany, they've won it 5 times. 64-65, 88-89, 2011-2012, 2016-2017, and 2020-2021. So even in the German Cup, Bayern Munich aren't winning all the time. Especially in those recent last decade or so, everyone thinks Bayern Munich win everything. They don't. The DFB or the DFL Supercup, because it has changed name a few times, they've won that 6 times. 1989, 95, 96, 2013, 2014 and 2019. Champions League, they've won that once, been runners-up once. The 96-97 Champions League final they win. The 2012-2013 Champions League final they lose. Ironically, to Bayern Munich, but it's an all-German final. That was a fantastic final that year. The Cup Winners' Cup, and this is what I'm saying, when they're doing well in the Bundesliga, they do well in Europe, they were runners-up this year in the Bundesliga, they win the Cup Winners' Cup in the 65-66 season. So, while they're not necessarily winning domestically, they occasionally do win in Europe. So when they're in one of the top 2 teams, they do well in Europe. The UEFA Cup, they've never actually won. So what the Cup Winners' Cup sort of moulded into was the UEFA Cup, which became the Europa League. They've been runners-up twice, the 92-93 season and the 2001-2002 season. That 2001-2002 season, they win the Bundesliga, so they are a very good side. They were trying to go for a European and League double that year. The Super Cup, they were runners-up in 97, so they couldn't carry on all the winning from that Champions League team, but they won the Intercontinetal Cup in 97, which means they have 22 major trophies. Now, yes, I do know that Bayern Munich are more dominant. Yes, they won more silverware. We all know that, and I'll get to that in the Bayern Munich video when I do it. But Borussia Dortmund have a fantastic history, and since the mid-50s, they have been consistently one of the top German sides. They do it in sort of patches where they win silverware. They're not winning silverware every single decade. So the 70s, they win nothing. The 70s, they win no league titles, no domestic cup competitions, don't do well in Europe. You know why? That's partly due to Bayern Munich. There's another club, Borussia Mönchengladbach, won a lot in Germany in the 70s. So you've got these momentum swings where a club will be dominant, then another club will be dominant, then another club will be dominant. And in Borussia Dortmund's case, their dominance are in short, sharp bursts where they're the top side in Germany. Now, it has been a while since they've been the top league side in Germany, but in cup competition, they've been doing well. European competition, not so well as of late, but you know they've got a pretty good record in Europe historically. They've won some historical matches in Europe, and hopefully at some point, Bayern Munich's dominance for this current era will end. It's looking more likely that is going to happen soon. That the momentum will slow down, and maybe Dortmund get back on the top of the Bundesliga sometime soon. And maybe they have that again, that little period of dominance where they win a few league titles in a row just to stop the Munich juggernaut. We shall wait and see. But anyway, from me, thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.